Hello everyone, I'm Fizz. Fuzz is here, but he's busy organizing his Pokemon cards.
I'm fine. Hello.
In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the new Please Buy Me update, which introduced Infinity cards, and I'm going to be doing it from the perspective of a professional game developer. For those of you who don't know, I've been making web and mobile games for probably longer than some of you have been alive, so I thought I'd share my perspective on this update from that angle. If you're not familiar with Please Buy Me on Roblox, check out our 4-part complete guide series on the game. For those of you who don't know what Infinity cards are, they are basically just an infinite card that anyone can generate and resell outside of your limited serial cards. Please Buy Me has a limit on how many unique serial cards each player can have, that number being 500. The game starts you off with 50 serials, and you can get more of them by buying them in the shop with fame coins, which is the currency of Please Buy Me. The problem is that once you sell all 500 of your unique serial cards, you cannot sell any more cards of your own. The developers realized that this was a problem and stated that players who sold all of their serials were getting bored and leaving the game. The developers couldn't just increase the number of serial cards for all players due to a technical limitation. So the solution that the devs came up with was Infinity cards, a card that you can create over and over again that is not unique. I asked the Pointball, one of the developers of Please Buy Me, to explain what the technical limitation was, because the way I saw it, Infinity cards still had to be tracked in a similar way to serials, because there is a buy and sell history associated with every card. He told me that Infinity cards only use one space of data in the owner's inventory and in the data store for purchase history. Even if they all have a unique ID, they aren't stored in the owner's inventory like serial cards are. That makes sense because if you look at the way Infinity cards are stored, there is only one entry for the Infinity card and all of the buy and sell history is stored in that one single card, whereas serial cards have their own entry in the player's card storage. On the surface, Infinity cards sound like a good solution to the problem, and they are. However, the way that they were implemented caused the opposite effect in the Please Buy Me community, with a lot of players not liking the update and quitting the game because of it. Now, to be fair, a lot of players actually do like the update, but the main thing is that it caused a polarizing effect in the community. So here are the problems as I see them, and some potential solutions that could have made the update better for the most part, and could still make the update better if the developers choose to implement some of these. Players have pointed out that Infinity cards are only helpful to players who already had high fame, as it makes high fame cards more affordable to players who don't have a ton of Robux to spend. It was already hard enough for players with low fame to sell their own cards, and with Infinity cards popping up everywhere, it makes it that much tougher for those players to get fame. On the flip side of this, now anyone can get their hands on a coveted YouTuber or developer card for cheap and try to resell them for a profit, as most people are selling their own Infinity cards for as low as 6 Robux. The issue with this, however, is you can't go more than 10 steps in the game without seeing the same Infinity cards being resold over and over. For example, Samson and TYP Twilight. Some high fame players have literally flooded the market with their cards, and this is causing them to be everywhere, reducing the variety in the cards that we saw before the update. There's two problems with this. Number one, the players who are pumping out their Infinity cards in this way are increasing their fame like crazy, which in turn is inflating the prices of their own serials. Players would rather just buy the Infinity version of these cards and quickly flip it for some easy Robux rather than investing in the serial version of the cards for a bigger profit. And number two, the fact that Infinity cards are now everywhere is causing the number of serial cards to decrease, as players just aren't seeing the value in trying to resell serial cards. If a player sees a high fame serial card being sold for, say, 500 Robux, and the same high fame Infinity card being sold for 6 Robux, which one do you think they'll buy? Especially if the person selling it keeps replacing the 6 Robux card over and over. That player is going to buy the 6 Robux card as many times as they can if they're able to with unique game passes, or by deleting the game passes and rejoining the server to buy more. These cards will not only increase the player's collection value on the leaderboard, the player that's buying the card, but they are also much easier to resell than the serial version of that card. So the developers did add another leaderboard that only shows serial card collection value. However, the main leaderboard shown in the top right corner is the original one that includes Infinity cards. I think that the more noticeable problem I've seen from the release is that Infinity cards don't look any different than normal serial cards, except for the fact that they have the Infinity symbol instead of the serial number. This is confusing new players mainly because the tutorial makes no mention of Infinity cards or how they work. In fact, the tutorial still says that all cards are unique, which isn't really true anymore. So a new player who sees an Infinity card for 6 Robux and the same serial card for 500 Robux is just going to buy the Infinity card and try and resell it for a high price, not knowing that serials are supposed to be more rare. Other new players are going to see an Infinity card being resold for 500 Robux and think that it's worth that much because of the high fame value on the card, not knowing that they could be buying the cereal card instead for that money. I've also seen people selling cereal cards for extremely cheap since this update came out, again likely due to seeing infinity cards being resold for cheap and not understanding how the system actually works. Long story short, the lack of clarity is messing up the economy in a huge way. What the devs should have done is made cereal cards appear more rare or make infinity cards look more inferior. It's similar to how Pokemon cards have rarer holo foil versions that are all sparkly and physically look more rare compared to a non-holo card. You can instantly tell which one is worth more. As I mentioned before, infinity cards are mainly for people who have sold all 500 of their cards and need more, but you see them everywhere, even on the stands of people who have zero fame and haven't sold any of their cereals. The first thing the devs should have done is have infinity cards locked for everyone except those who have sold all 500 of their cards, or at least unlocked only for people who have all 500 cereals purchased. This would have greatly reduced the noise that infinity cards are making with them appearing all over the place. If the reason for infinity cards was to keep players who have sold all of their cereal cards playing the game, then why were infinity cards open up to everyone right off the bat? It doesn't make sense to me personally. Locking infinity cards wouldn't fully solve the problem where people are selling their infinity cards for 6 Robux and causing issues to the economy, but it would definitely make it more balanced. The developers could have gone a step further and made infinity cards available in limited numbers each week. So you get X number of infinity cards each week, and if you run out, you have to wait. And if you don't sell all of your infinity cards for the week, the number just resets the following week. I've seen crowds of people around a YouTuber's stand just buying up dozens of cards for 6 Robux each over and over. The person selling the cards can just keep doing this for hours on end. I definitely think that a weekly or daily limit on infinity cards should have been considered for this reason. Players are generating infinity cards faster than they can be resold. This is going to cause long-term damage in the future, in my opinion. Think about it. Eventually, there will be so many infinity cards in circulation that can't be sold that everyone's inventories will be full of them and no one is going to be able to buy cards anymore. Another option is that they could have made infinity cards more of a souvenir that couldn't be resold for Robux. You can buy your favorite YouTuber card, but it would be more like a donation to the YouTuber and bragging rights for you that you got that card. You would just be able to keep it on display, or perhaps the card could be resold, but instead of reselling it for Robux, you could only resell it for fame coins. I totally understand why the developers introduced infinity cards in the first place. The reasons behind the change were with good intention, but unfortunately the way that it was rolled out wasn't fully thought out, and now not much can be done about it because removing infinity cards would cause even more problems since they've already been bought and sold a ton. The only thing I can think of that could salvage this update is to implement the things I mentioned before. Number 1, make infinity cards look more inferior to cereals, or make cereals look more rare compared to infinity cards, or come up with additional ways to ensure that players understand that infinity cards are extremely common. Number 2, add information in the tutorial that makes it clear what the purpose of infinity cards are. And number 3, place a limit on the number of infinity cards that can be generated every week. Players who are making a ton of infinity cards may not like this change, but I think it's better for the long-term health of the game personally. A lot of players have already quit the game due to the way infinity cards have been rolled out, so I think that for the vast majority of the player base, this would be a healthy change. I'm going to keep thinking of ways that this change could have been improved, but if you guys have any suggestions that you think would also work, drop them in the comments and I'll let you know what I think. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Please Buy Me content. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.